We have arrived at the elusive autofunctions. As we talked about in the previous video, we need the ZAC fixtures in either Auto 6 or Auto 6M mode to use autofunctions. We also mentioned turning on and off AF points in the live view. You may have also noticed an AF file drop down in the fixture tab. So, what are autofunctions? Autofunctions are essentially zones we draw on the stage. The zones then determine what dimmer, iris, focus, and or zoom values the fixture should be at when the tracker is at any given location on stage. These values are completely up to you. Some examples might be to turn the dimmer off when leaving the acting area, or zooming out when standing on a platform. These are functions we want to happen every single time an actor steps foot on that portion of the stage, regardless of values being sent from the console or what queue we are in. We're going to create a zone which will turn the lights on when in our stage area and off when we step out of the stage area. If we close out of the zactrack app and open the Autofunctions app, we can see it is a blank gray grid. It can be hard to know where our real stage is in relation to this space. To help us decipher what is where, we're going to create some calibration points in the zactrack app. Open the zactrack app again and go to the Points tab of the show editor. Here we want to add 4 points for the 4 corners of our stage. Click on the green plus in the top right corner. First, change the type to calibration point. We can name each point as we create it. I'll call this one DSR for downstage right. We need to enter the position information for the point. We can manually type it in if we knew it, but there's a much faster way. Use the pucks. Set the pucks on the stage where the calibration point should appear in the software. I have set black downstage right. Then click From Tracker. We now have a list of trackers to pull from. Click on black on the list. We now have X, Y, and Z information automatically pulled in based on the black puck's current location. Press Add to create the point. The point has now been created, but we're still in the Add Point window, so we can easily start making the next one. This one we will name DSL, or downstage left. Click From Tracker, then click on the red puck, since it is the one sitting where we want the point. The XYZ values are in place and we can click Add. Now we need to do this 2 more times. Try it on your own. When you're ready, click to continue the video and check your work. We named the next point USR, or upstage right. Click From Tracker. Choose the green puck in the list and press Add. Then we name the last point USL, or upstage left. From Tracker, choose the blue puck, press Add, and close this pop-up since we have all the calibration points we need right now. We can see our 4 calibration points, or CPs, in the list. One quick note on this window. The filter at the top filters based on the name of the points, so if we type DS, it will filter the list down to just our downstage points. The next step is to export these calibration points from here into the Autofunctions app to draw zones. Hop into the Fixtures tab of the show editor and click the AF file dropdown. Then choose Export AF. Here we get a pop-up to name the file. I'll call this zactrack tracks the world. We can see the path where the file is saved just below the file name. When the name is complete, press Save. We can now exit the zactrack app and open up Autofunctions. To get this information into Autofunctions, press the 3-line hamburger button in the top left. Then press Load Show. Now we get a drop down of all the AF files on our tablet, along with the reminder of what the file path is. Select zactrack tracks the world and press Load. We can see our 4 calibration points on the grid and their labels. Remember, labels save lives, so label anything you can. It helps you stay organized and work more efficiently. We can zoom and move around on the grid using familiar 2-finger gestures. There are 2 modes of this app, Create and Edit. We use Create to add new points, and Edit to decide what those points do. The first 4 points we need are the box where the lights will turn on. Make sure we're on Create, then tap 4 points on the map. I'll make them just slightly inside of the CPs we have. The idea is I want the light to be at full when they are on stage, and turn off as they cross the threshold set by our CPs. Now we need 4 more points that will determine where the lights will reach 0. Any space in between the points, the lights will fade dynamically between 0 and 100. I'll make these 4 points just outside our CPs. Great! Our boxes have been drawn, so now it's time to tell them what they are doing. Toggle to Edit mode. If any points need their position adjusted, this is a great time to do so. Click on a point and move it where it needs to go. Points turn yellow to indicate they are selected and you're editing them. Unselected points are white. If we want to select multiple points at once, we can turn on Point Multi-Selection at the bottom of the screen. Now, we can select points 1 through 4. To deselect a point, simply tap it again. With points 1 through 4 selected, we can now select the fixtures these points will apply to. We want this zone to affect all the fixtures in our show, so we will also turn on Fixture Multi-Selection, then press Select All. Finally, press Add to Fixtures on the bottom, which adds these 4 points to the fixtures. All the options along the bottom of the screen can now be edited. We only want to affect dimmer, so uncheck the boxes for iris, focus, and zoom. With dimmer at 255, we want to save this value to the fixtures for these points, so we press Save Values. Great! Now we need to switch gears and set points 5 through 8 to 0. To do this, we'll follow the same process. Deselect points 1 through 4 and select points 5 through 8. Notice the other points are now green when deselected. This is because they now hold values instead of simply being points on the stage. With 5 through 8 selected and all our fixtures still selected, we can add these points to the fixtures. Uncheck Iris, Focus, and Zoom and set dimmer to 0. Then press Save Values. We have now determined where the lights will turn off. We can tap through the points to make sure they have the right values. Turning off Point Multi-Selections means we can tap between points without having to deselect the previous ones. 2 additional settings to mention are Show Fixtures and Show CPs. These show or hide these points on the grid. Note that Show Fixtures will not show fixtures with manual values. If you want to see these, you would need to create additional calibration points for them. Sometimes we might need our zones to have different shapes or attribute levels at different times in our show. In such cases, we can create multiple scenes and then switch between them using the Zack Scene feature. We can create new scenes from scratch, or we can copy an existing scene as a starting point and then edit from there. Let's create a copy of this scene and then change its shape and attribute levels. Tap the Scene button in the top right corner. Now we can see a list of all the scenes in our show. Press Create to make a new one. The copy line gives us a drop down to choose which existing scene we want to copy. In this case, we will choose the default scene we just made to start from. Tap in the name field to label it. I'll call it Zooming Around. The DMX ID field sets the DMX value that will recall this scene. It will automatically be filled in with the next open value, but we could change this if needed. Finally, press Create. Now we have our new scene in the list, so press Select to edit it. This time we're going to have our scene affect the zoom attribute. We will have it zoom into a wide beam when the tracker is downstage left, and into a narrow beam when the tracker is upstage right. We can actually make this happen with just 2 points. First, make sure we're in edit mode and enable point multi-selection. Then select all the points except for the one downstage left and the one upstage right and press delete points. We don't need to add the points to our fixtures because they already were added in the scene we copied. We just need to edit the points. Disable point multi-selection and choose the point downstage left. Since we just want to affect the zoom attribute, uncheck the box for dimmer, check the box for zoom, and bring the zoom level to 255. Then press Save Values. We'll do the same for the upstage right point. Select it, uncheck dimmer, check zoom, and bring zoom to 0. Press Save Values. Now, when we use this scene, the closer the tracker is to the downstage left point, the wider the zoom will be, and the closer it is to the upstage right point, the narrower it will be. Finally, we're ready to see these in action. We need to get these back into the zactrack app. So, go back into the hamburger menu and press Save Show. We can either save over the show name we already have or rename it. I'm going to save over what I have and press Save. Now it's time to switch back to the zactrack app. Back in the Fixtures tab of the Show Editor, click the AF file dropdown. Then press Import AF. We see a list of all the Autofunction files in our tablet. Click the one we just saved and press Import. We could also use Import From if we needed to import from a different file location. If we toggle to the Points tab, all the Autofunction points are at the bottom of the list. We can even go through and name them to help us stay organized. In Live, we can also see all our new points. The calibration points are white and have their labels just above them. The Autofunctions points can be turned on with the blue Auto Pause checkbox. They will be blue AP points with their labels just above them. If you prefer not to see labels, toggle them all with the Labels checkbox. Now, with all our fixtures set to Track Tracker 1 and our mode set to Auto 6, it's time to walk across the stage and see the auto functions at work. On stage, the dimmer goes to full, and then as we walk outside the bounds of the stage, the dimmer fades to 0 automatically.